I forgot to buy coffee when we went to the shop late yesterday, and I spent the whole of the evening and this morning lamenting the fact that I'd forgotten. Look. Oh, don't believe it. Emergency coffee. And then we're heading out. Go see some renewable tech. Orkney is famous for renewables. Well, I think it's famous. You know, it produces 120% of the energy that the island uses. Well, energy, the electricity. Right, let's go. Okay, I'm gonna follow him. We're going off to see Neil. Sun's disappearing.
He's swimming.
We're going to go to the beach, find out how they generate power from wind and wave.
Waves.
Do you do wind at all?
Well, not exactly. No. I've got a wind turbine myself. I'm one of the 750 people in Orkney making their own power from wind. But no, we are mainly working with wave energy and tidal energy. That's the other one we're working on. We can go down and see the wave site.
Oh, it is still raining. Only for big boys in here, Jasper. This is where they make the electricity from water power.
Water power.
The youngest person we've ever had here.
Yeah. You're a bit of an electricity connoisseur, aren't you, Jasper?
So what we got here, these are big switches. You know, like you have on the wall, and you flick the switch and the lights come on. This is exactly the same thing that does just that. So there's a machine out at sea, and it's making electricity. But we have to be able to turn the electricity off sometimes, like you do with a light. This is the point at which the national grid and marine renewables connect. And Orkney's the most northerly point on the national grid. I'm Neil Kermode, I'm the Managing Director of EMEC, which is the European Marine Energy Centre. We're based in Stromness in Orkney. And what we're in here is the substation for our wave energy test site. We're working on both wave energy and also tidal energy. You're effectively trying to get machines that will harvest the motions of the water and land electricity on the beach.
I would have thought Orkney is a fantastic place for, you know, wave and actually wind as well, while we're on the subject. But, you know, in particular, as an island, it's got quite a high coast to volume ratio.
That's a good ratio. I haven't heard that you put that way, but yeah, we have. The other thing we've also got is that we've got uninterrupted waves that come in and hit the islands. Basically, wave energy is basically old wind energy. As the wind blows across the top of the water, it causes ripples and they get built up into waves, and those waves then come downwind, and they come across from, basically they're built up in the North Atlantic all the way from Canada. Right. So they come piling into the coast here, and the biggest waves that we've measured here are 17 metres high. Oh, wow. Basically, you can imagine a lump of water that's 17 metres high, that's moving at 3 or 4 metres a second. You know, that's a lot of energy stacked up in that lump of water. So we're trying to harvest that energy out of those waves, out of that potential energy, by putting machines in which react in some way to the motion of the water. And I hear that Orkney as an island actually generates far more energy than it uses. Electricity that it uses. Yes, not energy in terms of fuel. Not yet. Although, of course, the EVs that are around here, it's starting to eat into that. And that's one of the reasons why we've got so many EVs here. There was a number of us who were really keen on making it work, and after the council got some money to put some chargers in, we thought, oh, this works, that's a good idea. And it's a way to soak up the energy locally. So, as you say, Orkney is generating more electricity than it needs, and I think we've done that every year since 2013, and last year we produced 120% of our electricity needs from renewables, of which this contributed a little bit. It's tiny at the moment, it's experimental. So most of it is wind, and we're in a position where we can satisfy our own needs, but we can't get enough energy away. We can't export on occasions. The great thing about EVs is they'll take power from anything. Yeah. So you can have your wave-powered car. That integration of different things is really important. And something happened recently is the Scottish Government produced a new energy strategy, a draft one, and for the first time it joined up heat, transport and renewables together. It put them together and go, these are all parts of the picture. And that, I think, is really important, because if you start to see electric vehicles as an energy storage system and a transportation system, it unlocks a lot.
I'm loving Orkney so far. I apologise in advance for the wind noise.
Yes.
So you've got out there somewhere,
Yeah.
some wave machines.
Yeah, there's one over there just on the right hand side, and it's connected back to here with a series of cables that run out to berths that sit out there at about the 50-metre mark. We've dug this beach up 4 or 5 times now and laid cables through it and put the beach back again afterwards, and you really don't know we've been here, and the wildlife certainly doesn't know we've been here. And we've then plugged machines in on the ends of the wires, and they've been doing their thing, bringing the electricity back and putting it through our substation into the national grid.
That's one of the things I always love about renewable tech generally, is the impact on the environment is usually really negligible. I mean, even when you've got loads of wind turbines and stuff, you can just dig them up and it pretty much just goes back to a field straight away.
That way is the north of Scotland, back to the south, and there's the site there at Dounreay, which is the site of a couple of now dead nuclear reactors. Their budget this year is £183 million for decommissioning, just this year.
When did they get decommissioned?
They've stopped using them back in the 70s and 80s, I think.
Wow!
We don't have those decommissioning issues. Really, that involves a bloke and a boat and a chainsaw, you know, or a disc cutter anyway. You can pull this stuff back onto a boat and it's gone, and there's no long-term threat. Yeah, we think this is extremely benign, and there aren't those hidden costs.
That's one of the things about human society though, isn't it? We're not really great at factoring in future costs, because ultimately that's what climate change is. If you set aside the sort of moral and ethical issues and the environmental issues, and you just look purely at the money, the reality is we are building up a massive amount of future costs.
409 parts per million CO2 level. I mean, that's the highest it's been ever, as far as I can work out. That we've added 2 parts per million in the last 12 months. And they reckon 450 is when we could be around the 2-degree climate change. Now, Oregon State University said the last time we had a 2-degree climate change rise, we had 6 metres of sea level rise. Now, that's about not much different from where we're standing. So we'd be looking at a lot more water around here. Now, the effect that would have is simply going to be epic. Okay, so the wave machines react with the fact that the water has been piled up into waves. So there are lumps on the water surface we call waves. So those are effectively stores of energy, they're potential energy. So these machines effectively interact with the surface of the water. So generally speaking, it's either because a wave comes through and it causes the machine to flex and bend in the middle, or the machine moves up and down in some way, or backwards and forwards by a surge. The one that's out here, the Wello machine, is a boat which effectively twists as it goes over the wave. So it doesn't move in a straight way as a boat normally moves, it twists in the waves. And that's got a large eccentric weight inside. And if you ever have one of those self-winding Rolex watches, most of these machines have got some common features in them, in that they have to be moored in the waves, and the moorings have to not stop the machine moving. You don't want to strap it down so it doesn't move at all. So they need to be flexible. But they've also then got to be connected to a cable which is very fixed. It has to be fixed to a point on the seabed. So you've got something that moves but doesn't move too much, has got a cable which doesn't impede its motion, and you've got moorings which have then got to last and endure the wave conditions. So the thing with wave energy is that you have to make the machine strong enough to resist the biggest forces you're going to get, and they happen during storms. Tide, you don't have the equivalent of underwater storms. They're limited. They only get as big as they're going to get on a tidal cycle. So we know how big the tides are going to get in a year. So you don't have the same extremes that you get. So one of the things we've got here is that machines are out for the first time ever, and they're learning stuff, going, oh, that bit didn't work as well as we thought, or that bit lasted longer than we thought. And there's a whole lot of learning to be teased out of this stuff to work out what works well.
Thank you so much for talking about this fantastic stuff that you've got going on around Orkney and the work you're doing at EMEC.
Thank you.
And
watch this space.
Absolutely. That was fascinatingly interesting. I do like a good mix of energy sources, and Orkney seems to have its energy policy really well sorted, in my opinion. I'm gonna grab some lunch. Come on, Jasper. Running around like a mad thing. Lunch and coffee. I've got a real caffeine headache building up here. One of the things I like about vlogs is that people get a feel for where you are.
We stop for lunch.
Sorry, Mummy, about the just juice.
Don't look at that. Very natural.
I said get an orange juice. That's what they brought. So really, it's not my fault. How lucky are you? And still with the juice. Oh dear. Hey, we're going.
Tropical.
Good, isn't it?
So, fantastic.
So how often does it do this then around here?
Every day of the year. But it could snow this afternoon, which is why I love Orkney. And strangely enough, I want to find out the actual fact, but the UK's first ever serious big fat long tall wind turbine was here on Orkney.
Really?
It was about 1910, 1912 or something.
Oh wow.
Really? Yeah.
Barely had electricity back then. So Orkney has been pushing the boundaries with renewables for over 100 years. We're going to go for a little cycle now, Jasper.
Why you should go? Look, his car.
It is. Boom. See you tomorrow. Cheers. I've decided to give it a quick zap. Yeah, we have had a bit of a disaster of a meal because Jasper decided to be quite naughty. Anyway, we're going to head back. Car will be fully charged with bells on because I stuck it on a 22 kilowatt hour post. Somebody has been most hideously spoiled. Anyway, at least the car is fully charged and home sweet home. Well, hope you've enjoyed today's vlog post and found it interesting. If you have, remember to like it, share it and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram if you don't already, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next installment of my daily vlog. Bye!
So you trying to steal the car, Donald?
I shut the door, I see the keys on.
Right, 316 here. Yeah, there we go. Just up.